Let me try it again. Let's go again. Okay. Tzaryach, you had mentioned in your opening statement that we are all made of a woman. And of course, you likely may have anticipated Galatians 4:4. Where do you get the idea that we are all made of a woman the way Christ is made of a woman from Galatians 4? Where do you get that idea?
Because when I mentioned that, I also referenced Matthew 11:11 when Christ spoke about John, when he said among those that are born of women, and also referenced the book of Job, because there is not a man. And when you go to Hebrews 2:17, when it says it behooved Christ to be made just like his brethren. So when I read made of a woman, I don't read that he's made any different, because there's nothing wrong with saying that Christ is made of a woman, because we're all made of women. When you
My concern with that, Tazaryach, is you went to a bunch of passages, and none of them are the parallel Greek word found in Galatians 4. None of them are. The Galatians 4 is a unique word for birthing, only used in Galatians 4. So I find that to be very odd that you went to Matthew 11, you went to Job. I've looked at every reference in the Septuagint version of Job. There's not a single other passage where there's a parallel of Galatians 4, which literally means made of a woman. So we can get to Hebrews 2 later. It doesn't use made of a woman. So I want to stick to that during this cross-examination. But how can you be referring to these others as parallels if none of them use the same Greek word? It's only used here in Galatians 4, and it means to be made of a woman. There's no place anywhere in the scriptures where we read that we are made of a woman the way Christ is made of a woman in Galatians 4.
So again, in Hebrews 2:17, rather, it says, wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. So in Galatians 4:4, the subject of Galatians 4:4 is not about his birth. When you read Galatians 4, the subject is, I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, different nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all, but is under tutors and governors unto the time appointed of the Father.
I've got to correct you, Tzaryach. You are incorrect. You just spread a falsehood there, saying that it has nothing to do with his birth. It literally is the Greek word genomenon. It literally means to be made.
You're talking about
absolutely Galatians 4,
woman, right?
And so what I'm confused about is why you keep going to Hebrews 2. We're trying to talk about made of a woman here. We're not talking about made like his brethren. You can grill me on that during cross-examination. We're talking about how in your opening, you said we are all made of a woman, and you went to Matthew 11, you pointed to Job, where it's a very different Greek word used there. This one is the participle from ginestai, literally means to be made of a woman. It means he got his human nature from Mary and Mary alone. But you said that we're all made of a woman. I would like for you to show the audience where that parallel Greek word genomenon is used for anybody else.
The context, what I was reading before you interrupted me, the subject of Galatians 4 is including us all with Christ. So when you start at verse 1, now I say the heir, as long as he is a child, that's any child, differing nothing from the servant, though he be Lord of all, but is under tutors and governors unto the time appointed of the Father. Now we're getting context of sons and heirs. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. Then it says, but when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, verse 5, to
precisely
redeem.
Right. I'm interrupting because you're going on and on, saying that it's talking about all of us. You just read it right there. God sent forth his son, made of a woman. Tzaryach, how can you tell the audience with a straight face here that is about everybody if that is in the singular, my friend? You are incorrect. Genomenon is in the singular, not in the plural, buddy. That is about Christ. God sent forth his son, genomenon et gunaikos. Now I'm going to go back to the question that I asked you, because you pontificated and you went to somewhere else. I want you to show the audience what you said in your opening statement. You said that we are all made of a woman. I want you to show the audience where anyone has said that they are genomenon et gunaikos, or genomenon, that Greek word used for anyone else in all of the Hebrew scripture in the Greek or the New Testament. I want one example.
The very verse I'm reading, first of all, reading verses above to give context of my position is not going anywhere else. You didn't want me to go to Hebrews 2:16. So
because we're talking about made of a woman.
Right. But no, you're saying that this means made of a woman is only singular to Christ. That's your position.
It's in the Greek, my friend. I'm looking at the biblical Greek. Tell me how I'm wrong.
My position is that this is talking about all of us. And in the very verse when it says, but when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law.
Okay.
You know why it even
So
say
then
that?
everything else, that's fine, Tazaryach.
You said we would have to finish.
Okay, but you are not answering the question,
I'm
brother.
answering it directly so you can understand why. Remember,
JP,
I said,
if he doesn't answer it, I'm going to interrupt again and redirect because I want the answer to Galatians 4:4. I don't want him to go before. It says God sent forth his son, made of a woman.
What I was just
better deal with it.
Saying right, and I've dealt with this, so I'm gonna stay right.
Never sufficiently, you have never ever heard you deal with it.
Verse and prove that Christ is not the only one made like that.
Okay. Exegete the Greek for me, because it says genomenon et gunaikos.
I don't have to exegete.
Genomenon is singular. It is made of a woman. It is in the singular. Show me how it's in the plural.
And after it says made of a woman, it says made under the law. You know why he was made under the law? Because every child was made under the law. So
my friend, again, I'm sorry, JP. I'm sorry, JP. I don't care. I don't hold on. I don't care what he thinks about other children, JP. We're talking about Jesus, how he was made. I don't care if he thinks everybody's under the law.
Be separate from other children.
But the Greek word for genomenon is in the singular. Son of God is in the singular. Sent forth is a singular person. That singular person is genomenon et gunaikos. Nobody else is genomenon et gunaikos.
Common sense must be singular tonight.
Well, I don't agree with your. I don't agree with your version of common sense.
You don't have to agree, but you cannot say
so
that.
So let me ask again.
So how about this? Hold on. Let's allow.
I need him to answer me because when he grills me, I'm going to answer. I'm not going to avoid it.
Okay, that's fair. So
you're not listening. You're not.
I'm listening to everything, brother.
Then
I need you to tell me.
I'm going to stop the time. I'm going to
stop the timer. Okay, so JP, here's what I want. Stop the timer. I'm going to stop the timer in my end. Here's what I want. Pontificating is not going to work with me, buddy. I want him to show me the audience. I want him, he was pontificating. I want him to show the audience right now. You can pause the timer or give him as much time as he wants. Where that Greek word genomenon for being made, show me where it's used for anyone else. I will not speak. I don't want him to say, well, we're all this and this. This is common sense.
Express one's opinion in a way considered
annoying or pompous. I'll let you answer
the answer.
I'm not doing that.
So wait a minute. So William, ask your question. Let's allow Tazaryach to respond for 1 minute without interruption. If the answer he gives is not to your satisfaction, you can, you say what you got to say. But let's allow him to answer.
As long as my time remains paused, because you wasted 7 minutes by pontificating and not giving an answer. Leave it paused. Okay. I'm going to answer. I'm going to go quiet.
Let me tell you something. Hold up. Since we got the time paused, I'm not talking on his time. This is why we should have allotted time to ask a question and time not, because you're not going to sit here and say, I wasted your 7 minutes. You're being pompous.
As long as you can give us a straight answer.
Now, you're interrupting me when I'm talking now. I didn't interrupt.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I like this part. Remember what I said in the back chat. I'm cool as long as you cool. You said I'm pontificating. It said express one's opinion in a way that's considered annoyingly pompous and dogmatic. I'm answering your question, and you keep interrupting. You don't have to agree with my answer.
Okay. So then I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to ask
my answer.
I'm going to ask, and I'm going to be quiet. Let me ask it, JP.
William, you will ask. We'll give him 1 minute uninterrupted.
In the biblical Greek, Tzaryah, in the biblical Greek, genomenon is only used for Jesus. It is in the singular. You said in your opening statement, we're all made of a woman. Give me one example of that word used for anyone else in the Greek Old Testament or Greek New Testament.
Okay, 1 minute.
In Hebrews 2:17, it says clearly, it says, for it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren. That's how he wants to be made. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to leave it right there and come right back to Galatians. In Galatians 4:4, when it says, but when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law. My position is that we're all made that way because every child was made under the law. What does that even mean? Being made under the law, after that child is born, that child is circumcised on the 8th day under the law. That child is then brought. The mother brings a sin offering for having a child. All of that is being made under the law. So the subject of Galatians 4:4 is not to isolate Christ as if he's the only one made that way. It's to say that he is made that way. And when you read the very next verse, it's to redeem us. So he was born just like us to redeem us.
Thank you, Tazaryach.
Let me ask you this, JP.
Okay.
As an unbiased moderator, did he go anywhere else where that word was used?
I'm not getting.
Thank you. That non-answer was good enough for me.
To show
that non-answer was good enough for me.
I'm talking to the moderator.
I want the audience to note that even JP noticed he couldn't deal with that.
I want to talk to JP.
Let's go to the next question.
This man said, show me anywhere else in the Bible that anybody was made like this. And then when I go to a text somewhere else based on his question, he's telling me I can't go.
Okay. That's good enough. Hold on. No, JP, that's good.
A stupid thing to say.
That's good, JP. That's good.
You
read the Greek for us. Read the Greek for us in Hebrews 2.
You can't ask me to go somewhere else.
That's good. He just said that it's in Hebrews 2. Read the Greek for us in Hebrews 2.
So now we've answered that question. Now we're going to move on to the next question, and I'm going to start the time.
Thank you.
William,
my next question is, read the Greek for us in Hebrews 2 and show us that it uses that same Greek word as Galatians 4. Read the Greek for us in Hebrews 2.
Well, I don't speak Greek, but I will go to the Greeks. Not a big deal. So
that's what I thought. Let me move to a different question. I want the audience to be very well aware.
No,
I want the audience to be aware. This is my cross-examination.
I cannot answer this. Read it. This is what I'm saying. Like, I like,
ahead, brother.
Don't worry.
Read
I
it.
like assholes.
Read it, brother. Read it. Read it, brother.
I like assholes. Me saying I don't read Greek does not mean that I wouldn't go there. And
okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's see if you find the same Greek word as Galatians 4.
All right. Start the time and start as soon as you look it up, Tzaryah. So
let's go.
Let me know
the word made there is not the same made. I don't even know how to pronounce this. But if I look at the definition of the word, when it says he had to be, when you look at the
beautiful.
Greek, let me hold on one second.
Beautiful. My time's running. I want to move to another question. Thank you. 7 minutes to get you to admit that. Thank you so much. I want to move to another question. You brought up Isaiah 7 multiple times. Isaiah 7, which has the Hebrew word Alma. My contention is every time Alma appears in the Hebrew of the Old Testament, it is about a young, sexually mature young woman. Show me an example where Alma does not mean that in the Hebrew. Virgin by not having sex. And that's what I believe. I know you believe virgin in a different way. Show me in terms of not having sex.
No. Can you repeat? You said that you want me to show you where it's not talking about a woman that's had sex?
Show me where it is talking about a woman that has had sex. I contend that Hebrews 7, Alma, is about a virgin. Every time it's used in the Hebrew Bible, that is the word that transfers over to Parthenos in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 1. It is translated as Parthenos. It means virgin. It must be a sexually mature young woman who has not had sexual relations.
I agree with that because wait, one second. I'm trying to answer.
Okay.
So virgin for me is just a young woman who becomes a virgin. She hasn't had, whether she has the sex or not, she's a virgin. Like in Luke 2:36, when it talks about Anna the prophetess, when it says she married her husband 7 years from her virginity. A woman becomes a virgin when she comes on her flower. But Isaiah 7:14 is not talking about sex at all. That word virgin or Alma, for the most part, is never talking about actually having sex. It's talking about the age of the woman.
Okay,
so I don't understand the question that you asked.
Okay, but number one, let it be clear for the record, I am not going to cross-examine you on Anna of Asher, but your interpretation of that verse, I hope you do cross-examine me. I do not agree with your reading of Parthenos there, but let me be very clear. We're talking about Alma, not Parthenos. We're talking about Alma. Hold on. I got to ask the question. We're talking about now. Let's recover everything. Let's build our friendship from here. No more yelling, no insulting or anything. Even though you called me an asshole, I love that, brother. I'm a cool asshole.
You called me a pontificator.
So, but I didn't mean it in an ugly way. So anyway,
I didn't mean asshole in the ugly.
I mean, I take it as a compliment. So. Alma, I'm talking about Alma. I'm not talking about Parthenos. Every single time Alma is used, it is talking about a woman that has not had sexual relations. So you agree there that it is talking about that Alma is about a woman that is sexually mature but has not had sexual relations.
No. Oh, okay. Now I understand your question.
Okay, gotcha.
Isaiah 7:14, that is a woman that's had sex and is still a virgin.
So
In
where?
Isaiah 7, I'm gonna answer. Yeah, let me
Okay,
answer.
but remember my question.
You
Remember
said
my question
truly-
before that.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
The woman in Isaiah 7:14. This is a dual prophecy. This ain't just talking about Christ. This is also talking about Isaiah's son Maherselaz. Do we agree or disagree?
Disagree, because the son is never called Emmanuel. Completely disagree. But
In
this
Isaiah,
is not your
chapter-
cross-examination, brother. It's
Okay,
not your
you're right. I
cross-examination.
apologize for asking you.
So
a question. But in
again,
Isaiah, so let me just answer. So let me
Go ahead.
answer. So in verse 3 of this chapter of Isaiah 7:3, you see Isaiah, when Isaiah is told about this sign that he's gonna get, that virgin is his wife. And when you read verse 3 in the same chapter, you see that Isaiah already has a child by this woman. His name is Shea Jashub.
where's the name Emmanuel with that child, though? Where is that name? And where is
Listening is an art. You're not listening. You're listening to talk.
where
I
is, but it's
clearly
my
said-
cross-examination, so I'm redirecting
But
now.
you just asked a question that was dumb. You said Shea Jashub is the
Brother, I've never once said that you're dumb, so please be
I
respectful.
said you're asking a question that's dumb. I didn't.
And I
call
think
you
I
dumb.
think your 7-minute answer on Galatians 4, I think it was
Now
ridiculous.
you're going back to Galatians.
But I need you to tell me.
Emotional.
I want you to tell me, my friend.
This woman. This is this woman's second child that she's gonna have. This woman that the Lord is.
How is that possible if Alma, back to Alma, which you haven't answered,
This
how is
is
it possible
to Alma? You just want
if
to talk instead of
every
listening.
single time Alma is used,
Brother,
it's about a woman that has not had sexual relations?
No, not right here. Because when you
How
go,
is this the exception?
you
If
have
everywhere
to-
else,
then you have to be willing to hear the answer. Get out your feelings.
I
It's
need to
hard
hear
to-
the answer. Even though
You're
every
not
time,
listening. When I conclude,
brother,
you
I've
didn't
already
finish
heard
it.
you.
No, you did not. If I'm still talking and you interrupt me, you have not heard me.
Go ahead. I'm gonna give you a minute to speak, and then I'm gonna move on.
Isaiah 7:3. It says, "Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou Shea Jashub thy son." Isaiah already has a son. And then in Isaiah 7:14, it says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign that you is Isaiah. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." When you read Isaiah 8:3, when you read Isaiah 8:3, Isaiah has a child with that same virgin woman, second child, named Maherselaz. And when you read verse 8, the Emmanuel reference is prophesied to Maherselaz. Anybody knows this. Isaiah had two sons that had prophetic births.
And
So
this is
that's your answer.
exactly why, JP. This is why.
That's your answer.
This is why I'm interrupting, because he goes on, and I'm going to say it, he pontificates so long without answering anything. I was not asking him to tell me.
You just disagree with
I
the
was
answer.
not asking him to give me all this explanation about Isaiah 8. I asked him very clearly so the audience can hear this.
That's had sex, that's
I
called a virgin,
wanted to hear. I told him every time Alma is used, it is about a woman who has not had sexual relations.
And I showed you a woman that
just
did
said,
have sex.
he
That's
just
called a
said,
virgin.
Let's allow William to speak.
He just said in Isaiah 7, this has got to be the exception, even though that word is never used that way. Yet here it is to be the exception, even though it's never used that way. So I asked Tazaryach to show the audience where Alma means what he says it must mean in Isaiah 7. He says, well, it means that here. I'm asking him to show me elsewhere, not only here.
All right,
I need him to show me elsewhere that Alma means that.
Well, do you have a question for Tazaryach right now at this moment?
The fact that he could not answer that is bothersome, but I'm going to move and I'm going to stay there in Isaiah 7. This is a sign that will be given. The Hebrew word oth right here. How long do I have?
You have, let's see here. You got 6 minutes.
The Hebrew word oth right here is only ever used when given by God of something miraculous. How is this birth miraculous if it's from a woman who's already had sexual relations? How could this birth be miraculous? According to the Hebrew word oth, as looked at by the early fathers, early scholars, and early rabbis, how can this be miraculous if it's a normal, natural conception and birth?
A pause is time. I don't want him to feel like I'm pontificating, but do I have the ability to read any sources? Your time is not going.
Absolutely, brother. That's I would like for you to answer the question.
I paused the time so that you can read what you got to read. Is that fair?
No, I don't. No, I wasn't pausing it to read it. I wanted to be paused while I was asking him. So before you unpause it, can you just repeat your question?
Yes. In Isaiah 7, Tazaryach, The Hebrew word for oth, the Greek rendering semeion, is only ever used when given by God of the miraculous nature. And you find that word here, the sign given. How can this be something ordinary and normal if it is only ever used when given by God of the miraculous? How can this be a normal birth, conception, anything? How can it be normal?
Time is starting.
Thank you. The sign is that it's a young woman. That's the sign. So this happened with Isaiah and his young woman. And then this happened with Joseph and his young woman. That's the sign.
Tzaryach, one more
point.
time. I understand what you believe, Tzaryach, but you're not answering my question. How can this be miraculous if the Hebrew word oth used in Isaiah 7 is only used of the miraculous when it's a sign, divine sign given by God? How is a normal, ordinary sexual conception and birth, how is that miraculous, Tzaryach?
No problem. A miraculous birth happens when the Lord intervenes and says what's going to be done with it. So the sign is not just having the child, it's what the child is going to do. So Isaac was a sign. Samson was a sign. Christ is a sign. Maherselaz is a sign. When you read the further verses, that's how you know it's a sign. When it says butter and honey shall he eat, may know to refuse evil before the child goes. All the things that he's going to do is how you're going to know it's a sign. But it's still going to be born from a man and a woman bringing birth to the child.
Is oth ever used that way of a normal conception? Is oth ever used that way?
I haven't seen anywhere where the term, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. But what I have seen is that the Lord has told many parents what their child was going to do great. And that was the sign.
Perfectly fine. But in terms of the Hebrew word and the Greek word semeion, I need it to be on record for the audience to hear. This is a particular Hebrew word used, a particular Greek word used. It is used in a particular miraculous manner. And I appreciate the honesty. And I apologize for saying you pontificated earlier. You used to give an honest answer. You don't know. You don't know. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate it. But I want to move to my next question because my time's almost up. Why is it, Tazaryach, that when we look in early church history, from the beginning of the apostolic era and on, 90s, 100s, 110, 120, any era you look, men that walked and talked with Christ, every single one of them believed in the virgin birth, and it was only the enemies that denied it, and the enemies themselves, their preserved writings of the apostolic era of men that knew Jesus and knew the apostles, confirmed that those that walked with Jesus believed in the virgin birth. How do we deal with that?
From Matthew, Mark, John, the letters that we have, because those would be the letters that we have of men that walk with Christ. None of them say anything except Joseph is the father.
So that was not my question, Tazaryach. That was not my question.
You said, why do they not deny the virgin birth? That was your question, right?
That was probably my fault. Let me be clearer. When I talk about the early people that walked and talked with Christ, I mean people that knew St. John. You just brought St. John up. They knew him. They knew St. Peter. So they were either, hold on, I'm not done.
I want to walk with you to understand your question. And he could pause while I'm talking. Please so you're not talking about John. You're talking about, let's say if you're John, I'm your disciple.
There we go.
Saying you give to me, and then I carry what you taught me. That's what you're saying, right?
There we go.
I got you. Go ahead.
Awesome. Why is it that those that knew the apostles, that received the word from them, those that were taught and trained by them, St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Polycarp, these early men, when dialoguing with heretics, we have the preserved writings of the heretics where they deny the virgin birth, yet those that were taught and trained by the apostles, the men that walked with our Lord, affirmed the virgin birth. How do you square that?
Well, no one is denying a virgin birth. As I stated in my opening round, I didn't want to use the word virgin because I don't deny that Mary was a virgin. My position and the Bible's position is that virgin has nothing to do with whether you had sex or not. It has to do with age. A 40-year-old woman, you're not calling her a virgin, you're calling her an old woman. But
Tzaryach, they do not. They interpret virgin as not having had sex. Tzaryach.
That's not how. So that's not how John interpreted it, because John said, "We have found whom and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." He wouldn't say son of Joseph if he thought that way. He
So
wouldn't say that.
I
Matthew
want it to
said-
be clear for the audience because I have 30 seconds. I
Every
got 30
time I keep
seconds.
getting interrupted,
I've got 30
man.
seconds, my friend, and you
William,
didn't
you
answer
have
it.
1 minute. 1 minute. William.
Okay. I've got 1 minute, JP. And yet again, I didn't get the answer. I asked him to touch upon those men that were taught and trained by the
You
apostles.
didn't let me finish.
But because you went right back to saying, well, this is what I
I
believe it says.
started at a point. and
I
I'm
read
getting to a
St.
point.
Ignatius. I mentioned St. Justin the Martyr. I mentioned
All
all these
that
men who
means is
say
those are men that perverted the gospel of
they
the Bible.
gave us the Bible that you're
We
reading
ought
from
to
today.
obey God rather than men.
They gave us the
Okay.
Bible
I
you're
mean,
How about
reading
this?
from
Okay, how about
today.
this? Look, this
No.
is what we're gonna do. So, William, since
goodness.
it was your time to ask questions, you're gonna get 1 minute to finish off. Then Tazaryach, when you're grilled, you'll get a minute to get your closing statement. So, William, get your last closing statement because you have about 4. We'll give you an even minute. Is that fine?
Yeah, let me.
Because your time
How
is
do
up.
you get closing statements in a 20-minute back?
Not a closing statement, like just a recap. 1 minute. You're gonna get one. He'll get one, and that's it.
I
Because
wanna
there's
be
a lot of
very clear.
interrupting, so he wasn't
Yeah.
able to. You know.
I want to be very clear for the audience. I'm talking about at the end of the day, Tazaryach and I can say this is how I believe that Matthew, Mark, and Luke and John taught, and I can prove that that's what they believed by the men they taught and trained. Tazaryach didn't want to touch him with a 100-foot pole. He said, "Well, this is what John says." Nobody's arguing that they say Jesus is the son of Joseph, but they qualify all that. Nobody's arguing that. Your big problem is, he says, "Well, they perverted the word." Really? Now, I'm going to be respectful and say that's a rather ludicrous answer. The very Bible we're reading is collated by them. We've got critical texts thanks to the fathers, yet they perverted the word? This is outrageous. This is what happens when you become rogue to Christianity. You abandon the faith and you become your own interpreter of sacred scripture. It doesn't matter. He just said St. Ignatius of Antioch. This is more ludicrous than James White's statement. He said St. Ignatius of Antioch perverted the word. How outlandish is that?
That's a minute, William. All right, Tazaryach, to be fair, once you get your 20 cross-examination, I'm going to allow you a minute as well, just to recap what you said, because there's a lot of cutting off and things like that. All right, so across all 3 platforms, we have over 2,000 people watching.
Praise the Lord.
So when it comes to Q&A, I'm going to hop on Tazaryach's channel, I'll hop on William's channel, and I'll hop on my own channel to try to get the questions at hand. That'll be after the 20 minutes.
Brother, can you give me maybe a minute to get more water? Just to fill,
Yeah,
fill
absolutely.
it up.
Let's all take
Tazaryach, is that all right? Did I get some more water?
Don't matter to me.
all right, cool. All right, so 1 minute, y'all could get some water or something. You can get
I got my water right here.
all right, no worries. You got me water the last time I was moderating.
I did. We talk about out in New York, right?
Yeah, you got me some
We
water.
took care of y'all out there, man. You know your boy got Logic ducking me.
Well, he'll be back in New York soon.
No. I offered to go to California to do. I'm glad this on your channel, JP.
Oh, come on.
I
You're
hit
gonna
up
get me in trouble, Tazaryach.
No, I hit up God Logic on Instagram. I said, man, that was a great debate. We should do a round 2. I'll come to California. He said, bet, I'm down with it. So I offered to go to California, debate him in his hometown, just like we did in New York. What he did was contact some other Israelites to debate them, not knowing that they was in my school. And so they contact me and say, hey, man, God Logic want to debate us. So I'm like, yo, why you going around me? You scared?
Well,
God
listen,
Logic is publicly ducking the smoke. I offered to go to California, debate him on his turf, and he want to debate somebody else. He's scared.
well, listen, I have no opinions on that.
Yeah, this ain't no. I'm just saying that on JP's channel, the views and opinions of Captain Tazaryach is not JP's. I'm saying God Logic is ducking. JP is not.
William, you muted yourself, my brother.
You're muted, J. William.
Oh, William, you muted. Say something.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could hear you.
I don't know God Logic, so
We were just talking about. I didn't want to talk about you, and you wasn't here, so we were just having a different conversation.
Yeah. All right. So
I don't pontificate.
brother.
okay.
The way you use that term in debating is not disrespectful the way you thought it was. I just simply.
I'm not
mean-
looking at. Listen, you got.
Come
You
on,
don't.
man.
We
Don't
don't
take
know
everything
each other.
negatively, brother.
No, William, we don't know each other like that, right? But if you knew me, you knew that you would know that I'm not bothered by anything. Even like
There
when I
we go.
said the whole
Good.
a-hole, I'm not bothered by nothing. I
Good,
just know
brother.
how to tactfully and strategically make it backfire on you. Like I just read the definition.
waiting for that.
Well, you're the only one pontificating by definition.
All right,
Annoying,
so we
okay.
got some
arrogant-
friendly,
All right.
some friendly
See
trash
about
talk
that.
here.
Yeah.
So
See about
this is very fun. All right, so now we're gonna start 20 minutes for Tazaryach, and Tazaryach, you're gonna ask William questions for 20 minutes. Obviously, there's over 2,000 people watching across all three platforms.
Yeah,
William's
praise the
idea.
Lord.
Yeah, that's fire. That's actually fire. I'm glad that everybody came out to saw it.
How many again? How many was that, JP? I'm sorry.
Said
Over 2,000. Over 2,000 on all platforms.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
a lot. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's scattered across because we're all
Yeah,
across.
no, that's good though. That's good money.
But so what I'm gonna do is once again I'm gonna get questions from all three channels. So I'm gonna hop on mine.
You're the man, brother. You're the man. You decide what you need to do.
All right. So now that we're here, Tazaryach, you're gonna have 20 minutes to ask William questions, and I'll intervene if I have to intervene. So as soon as you ask your first question, I will press start, and then at the end of your 20 minutes, you'll get a 1 minute recap.
If at any point, Tazaryach, you want to move to another question, just let me know.
Don't worry. I don't need your instructions. Now I'm pontificating. I do not need your instructions. I appreciate it. In Luke 1:32, it says, "He shall be great and shall be called Son of the Highest, and the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David." How many fathers does Jesus have according to this verse?
Father David, just one.
So God is not his father?
Of course.
So
In this verse,
how many fathers does he have in his verse?
read the verse first again.
And he shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest.
Right.
And the Lord God shall give unto him his throne. Give unto him the throne of his father David.
Right. When it says Father David, it's referring to David. Clearly, he's the Son of God from heaven.
So he has two fathers, right?
Not fleshly. He doesn't have any fleshly
So how is David his father?
Because it comes from the seed, because Holy Mother Mary is from the line of David. That is why.
Can you show a book, chapter, verse where she's from the line of David?
Absolutely. Luke chapter 3.
Let's
So we go through, let me pull it up.
Let's read it. It better say directly. Luke chapter 3. I'm reading. What verse?
Are you going to allow me to answer, brother?
No, you're the last person to say that. Luke
so
3,
in Luke
verse?
chapter 3, we've got the genealogy of Luke. Number one is longer than Matthew's genealogy.
Where's Mary at?
So
I just need you to get straight to it. Like
my brother, this is not going to go well for you, brother. You can try and talk over me all you want. You've got it right there in his You've got it right there. This isn't going to go well to Tzaryah.
Mary's at.
You have, hold on, my friend. You have zero ability to steamroll anyone.
I have.
So let me answer you. It is Heli. Heli is her father in Luke
chapter verse.
Heli, Luke chapter 3.
Book chapter verse.
Luke chapter 3, beginning in verse 23. I'm going to answer it. You're going to allow me to answer, JP.
Yes,
Luke chapter 3. So I'm going to have to be able to answer without interruption. In Luke chapter 3.
That's amazing that you're
JP,
saying.
You just said I was going to be allowed to answer, right?
Come on, fellas. Come on.
JP,
when you see how he treated me in the 20 minutes?
When JP said for me to be quiet and allow you to answer, I was. No, I didn't.
Okay, so look, this is what we're
chapter 3.
Let's allow Tazaryach to ask the question.
He understands the question. He good.
All right, so William, just answer the question. Tazaryach, let him answer the question.
In Luke chapter 3, verse 23, the way the early church fathers interpreted the gospel of St. Luke, as much as you do that, it's not going to help you. In Luke chapter 3, verse 23 and on, the way the early fathers interpreted Luke 3 is you've got the genealogy there, and you've got it listing Mary's father. He's right there. Heli. How long do I have left, JP? Heli, right there. Heli is Joakim. Heliakim is another name for Joakim. The early church fathers recognize that. Father Cornelius Lapide recognized it. Tazaryach can shake his head all that he wants. The genealogy from Luke chapter 3, according to the earliest church fathers, according to Heli listed right there, you've got the father right there of Mary, early in early church history as well. You've got it listed in the Proto-Evangelium. Joachim is the father of Holy Mother Mary.
That definitely got to be longer than a minute. You say give him a minute. But I want the audience to pay attention. Mary is not mentioned here whatsoever.
She doesn't need to be mentioned.
This
Her
is my
father's
time.
mentioned.
This ain't your time.
Let's allow Tazaryach.
And Jesus himself.
Well, I'm going to answer that after.
I'm not asking you a question. I said let the audience. I didn't ask you a question. When I asked you a question, then you can speak.
Okay.
And Jesus himself began to be about as was supposed the son of Joseph. When he say the early church fathers, he's being dishonest. You have Julius Africanus and you have Eusebius that both say that Luke the 3rd chapter's lineage is a lineage by law, and Matthew's lineage is the physical lineage, and both of them say they're by Joseph.
I'm going to answer that.
If I ask you a question about it, you can answer it, but stop interrupting me.
I'm going to answer that no matter what, whether he asks me or not.
I'm asking you a question, man. This is not your time to talk.
My goodness, then I'll be quiet. You can talk for 20 minutes.
Look at him.
Let him talk for 20 minutes. I'll be quiet.
When you go back and play this, you're going to say, when you talk to the audience, Tazaryach didn't say nothing. So be quiet.
Let him talk for 20 minutes.
Rest in your femininity.
Tazaryach,
all you got to do is
my femininity, brother. Compare me to you.
I'm not
compare ourselves, and don't call me feminine, brother.
Why you keep talking?
Oh, wow.
All right.
Keep talking?
So look,
Thank you.
Tazaryach.
Wow.
Yo, when he addressed the audience, you didn't say nothing, JP, and I didn't.
I am going to answer what he said about the church fathers.
You can't tell me what you're gonna do unless I ask you a question.
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
But you can't interrupt me in what I'm saying.
Wait. Hold on. Tazaryach, when y'all was going at your 20-minute cross-examination with William, I was interrupting. I was trying to police everything. So let's not say.
What I'm saying, JP, is when he said, I want the audience to pay attention that he didn't answer this or answer that, I didn't say nothing. You should have. That's what I'm doing. You should have. You say you should have because
you should have. And I'm not going to allow it. Sorry, I'm not going to allow it.
You know what I did was I gave him the respect of his time. He's too immature.
So let him speak, and then I'm going to answer that.
I just want to speak on my time, and when I ask you a question, it's my 20 minutes. It's not yours.
Okay, so
you can't dictate what I do.
Does he want to talk the whole 20 minutes?
Okay, so Tazaryach, I paused the time.
I would have been done.
All right, Tazaryach, hold on. Let's get this clear. So I've been paused the time. It's only 4 minutes that gone by. We still got 16 minutes. So Tazaryach, if you can please say what you're gonna say, and if you can somehow make it in the form of a question as well, just so that we.
I don't have to know. He didn't do it.
Yes, I did.
I'm not doing it.
He's not going to pontificate. I'm going to answer that. He is not going to say that without free reign.
Listen, when you try to come on here and dictate how I run my 20 minutes,
it's cross-examination, brother. It's not time to be talking.
But it's not cross-examination. You ask me. William wants it to be. It's how Tazaryach wants it to be.
But you ask me and I answer you.
I don't control how you ran.
Do you know how cross-examination works?
Control mine.
Brother, he's an amateur. He doesn't know how cross-examination works. JP, educate him.
Exactly how this works.
Educate him, JP.
Educate yourself.
Look, listen, everybody listen. Everybody listen. I don't know why I signed up for this debate. I don't know what I was.
This fire right here. This
JP,
fire.
I don't know educate the brothers.
William, what you're doing is we wasting 8 minutes.
No, it's paused, brother. It's paused.
I could have just made my statement to the audience like you did.
I paused.
Got to the next question.
But brother, that isn't going to happen with me.
Right now, just be quiet right now.
Okay, I'll answer it when he asks another question, JP. I'll answer them both.
Just be quiet.
I'll answer them both.
All you got to do is be quiet.
I'll answer them both.
Now, as I said, and
hold on. Let me put the time. Tazaryach. So I'm gonna start the time. If William would like to answer whatever question you're gonna come up with.
Right. When I'm gonna ask him a question in a second. I'm just responding to how horrible he answered mine, like he did to me. When I didn't answer the question the way he wanted to, he said, Tazaryach is not answering. Tazaryach is honest. Tazaryach is this. So now when I do it, why does he have to interrupt that?
Okay, so I'm going to start the time. 4 minutes, 17 seconds. I'm going to start.
What I want everybody to pay attention to, these church fathers, which is why I don't give them the respect that others do, they didn't agree either. So he may have church fathers that say they believe Heli was Mary's father. Sextus Africanus and Eusebius said that both lineages belong to Joseph. So now the reason why I asked them book, chapter, verse is because I'm going to take the scriptures over anybody. So I want the audience to know Luke 3:23 does not say Mary at all. He has to go to an outside source. He got on me about going to Galatians 4 and outside of it, but he just did the same thing. My next question, in Acts the 2nd chapter, Acts 2:29, it says, men and brethren, let me freely speak unto you the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, his sepulchre is with us unto this day. Therefore, being a prophet and knowing that God has sworn an oath to him, that of the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Christ to sit on the throne. As far as we can read in the Bible, it clearly says that Joseph is the son of David. Can you show a book, chapter, verse that says Mary is from the house of David?
I appreciate that because I'll get to answer that other question. Yes, Luke chapter 3, verse 23, which you didn't think that I had answered sufficiently. The reason I didn't answer it sufficiently to your liking is because you do
I'm
not
not
know the
asking you
name of
about
Mary's
Luke
father.
3:23. We're about
And Mary's
Acts 2.
father
We're about
appears in
Acts
Luke.
2
I'm going to
and
answer this.
30.
I'm going to answer this. Luke
Thank you.
3:23. In Luke 3:23, Heli appears. It's Mary's father. Heli is Joakim. And you lied to the audience. Either you lied or you've never read Julius Africanus and Eusebius. Now I'm going to teach you how to read them, because the very text that you mentioned says that the lineage is of Mary as well. So you're being dishonest with the audience. And if you're not being dishonest, then you haven't read the text. There exists one translation of that. And I love the way your eyes changed there, because now you're being taught about that text. Julius Africanus and Eusebius. By the way, it's not two of them, it's one. Eusebius preserves Julius Africanus in ecclesiastical history. He quotes it. You're reading a truncated part, my friend. Google it right now. In the full part, Mary is added at the end. The one translation that you've read from many times is done by my friend, Dr. Brock. At the very end, Mary's name is added. So much for being transparent to the audience. He interprets it the exact way that I interpret that.
Thank you. So now, being that he called me a liar, and my audience knows that I hate being called a liar.
Oh, man.
So I actually have ecclesiastical history. So now I'm going to read what it says. So this ain't necessarily the question. This is just to counter him calling me a lie. This is Julius Africanus, the epistle to the Aristides. It says, but in order that what I have said may be evident, I shall explain the interchange of the generations. If we reckon the generations from David through Solomon, Mathan is found to be third from the end of David, who begat Jacob, the father of Joseph. But if we, with Luke, we reckon from them Nathan, the son of David, in like manner, the third from the end is Melchi, whose son is Heli, the father of Joseph. It ain't mentioning Mary. For Joseph was the son of Heli, the son of Melchi. As Joseph, therefore, is the object proposed to us, we have to show how it is that each is represented as his father. Sextus is not quantifying Mary being this daughter of Heli. He's quantifying Joseph being the son of Heli through levirate marriage. So it's that simple. So when he makes that statement, he's a lie. So now I'm gonna ask my next question.
No, I'm gonna answer that. You're not gonna.
I didn't ask the question for you to answer.
I could care less. It's cross-examination.
I did not ask a question.
I'm gonna answer that.
I did not ask a question for you to answer.
You know how cross-examination works.
Me a liar.
JP, you know how cross-examination works.
Responding to you calling me a liar, and
you're not gonna answer and move on. Cross-examination. You need to learn how to debate, brother. You need to learn how to debate. I'm going to answer that now.
You need to learn how to debate.
You need to learn how to debate. You're not a debater, brother.
To debunk your lies.
You are not a debater. Tzaryach, you're a novice. You're not a debater.
All right.
You think, hold on, JP. Tzaryach, you think you're in the streets. You're not in the streets debating. You're going to be organized, and I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer that, JP. You're going to be organized, buddy. I'm going to answer that.
Okay. I am organized. I have the source.
And I'm going to answer that now.
No,
you didn't read it all.
You know what?
I sure am, buddy. What are you scared of? What are you scared of, Tazaryach?
When this 20 minutes is over,
Tazaryach.
Wait one second, JP. William. When this 20 minutes is over and you decide you didn't get the full realm to ask, then you could do so, because then
no, brother, I'm an answer now.
All you got to do is just listen.
What are you scared of, Tazaryach? What are you scared of, brother? You're terrified. Allow me to answer then.
I'm gonna answer that.
I want your audience to see how horrified you are.
I'll answer it.
You know why you don't let me answer?
20 minutes is over.
You know why?
What you're gonna do, William? You think you're gonna dictate my 20 minutes, and you're not.
JP,
you're not gonna control.
This is cross-examination, JP.
We high out here.
He's terrified. Look at that.
I'm not.
Show us your hands. Pull your hand out. Let me see your hands.
There's nothing.
Are they shaking, brother?
There's nothing. They're shaking. I just want to go to my next question.
All right. Hold on. Before we get there, let's chill with the insults. I'm not gonna comment on anybody.
No, he's not gonna control my 20 minutes.
I'm gonna answer that.
No, you're not.
But let's just get back to control here. Everybody get back. Everybody settle down.
Look at him. He doesn't want me to answer it. I am stunned, JP. This is the worst debating opponent I've ever had.
William, drink some water. Tzaryah, drink some of the drinks that you have.
I gotta have to answer that, JP.
And everybody just relax. Everybody just
want to answer because he hurt.
Everybody
answer because he's cut.
Everybody just calm down.
I'm cut, brother. Brother, you wouldn't be able to cut me with a massive knife, brother.
That's why you're acting emotional.
Brother, the only thing you're cutting open is the Doritos bag. You ain't cutting me.
All right.
That's why you emotional.
You ain't cutting me. You're cutting the Doritos bag open. Not me.
Fellas, am I gonna have to leave? Come on, now. Everybody relax. Everybody relax.
Can I just get to my next
Everybody
question?
take it easy.
I'm gonna
All
answer
right,
that.
listen. We've gone through 8 minutes and 44 seconds.
I got 12 minutes left. I just want my 12, and then he could say after this 12 minutes,
Tzaryah.
he could do whatever he wants.
Okay,
I'm
that's
not
fair.
going to tell him not to ask the question, not answer the question.
Understood.
In my remaining 12 minutes, it's my time.
All right,
It's like in his 12 minutes, it was his time.
Okay, understood. Tzaryah, ask him a question, and then we will.
I am going to ask him a question.
And then we will allow William to respond to the question.
No
Okay,
problem.
JP, how long will you allow me to respond? Because when I respond, I'm going to respond to this too. How long will you give me?
Here's what William and I both have. When William asked me questions and I answered it and he didn't like it, it was his right to say to the audience and to me that he didn't appreciate my answer.
But I let you answer. I let you answer. You won't let me answer this.
Okay, so let's be fair. Tzaryah.
Wow.
Hold on, let's be fair. Tzaryah. When there was a point within the cross-examination where I paused the time and I gave you a minute to answer. So how about you ask this one question?
I don't have a question. He called me a liar. I just brought the evidence out to show that I wasn't lying.
That is fair.
But give me a minute answer now. Give me a minute.
No. Listen, I asked the question about show Mary being connected to the house of David. He went to Luke 3:23. I responded by saying Julius Africanus and Eusebius. He told me that they both put Mary at the end of it and that it was still about Mary being the daughter of Heli.
He just read all of this. I want to answer that.
And then what I did was read what Sextus said and said I'm not a liar, and I'm trying to ask my next question.
That's not how it works, JP. Be fair, JP. I get a minute to reply, JP.
So when you did the Galatians, I said this is this.
Listen,
be fair, JP.
What's fair is for me to respond to what you said and be allowed to ask my next question.
Okay,
so you don't control my 12
That's not how cross-examination goes. You don't pontificate.
I
answer you.
You don't dictate the cross-examination.
Go ahead, JP.
Okay, Tzaryah, let's allow you to answer, to ask a question.
I got a question.
Okay, ask your question. We will allow William to respond for 1 minute uninterrupted. Is that fair?
No problem. This is Luke, the second chapter.
Okay.
When we go by the logic of those that believe in immaculate conception or virgin birth, they believe that God came to Mary. They believe that an angel came to Mary, made her pregnant, and then the angel came to Joseph and told him that God made him pregnant. So they know that this is not Joseph's son, this is God's son, and he's going to do these great things. He's going to do these great miracles. I'm going to read this scripture. This is Luke 2:48. It says, and now for time's sake, this is when they saw Christ in the temple, talking to the doctors, asking them questions. This is Luke 2:48. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, how is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business? So, and verse 50 says, and they understood not the saying which he spake unto them. So my two-part question is, if one is a yes or no, and then the other one you can expound on. The yes or no question is, did Mary lie to Christ when she said Joseph was the father? Yes or no? And then why didn't they understand when Christ said he must be about his father's business if they were both told that this is God's son? That's my question.
All right, that's great. JP, I'm going to answer the other question and this one. I can do
both
whatever
in
you want.
1 minute.
He can't do that, man. He can't dictate.
I'm going to do it, my friend.
Listen,
I'm going to answer.
You said
I'm going to answer that.
I'm not talking to you. JP,
I got a minute.
You said to give him a minute. Whatever you're doing, if it's 60 seconds, that's fine. You can do whatever you want in 60 seconds.
That is what I'm going to do, and you're going to listen to it.
Well, go ahead. 60 seconds.
If I didn't want you to do it, you wouldn't do it.
Oh,
let's not be an asshole. You're gonna have your 60 seconds to do what you want.
Okay, let me address the audience because the audience is manifesting.
You're not running the show, brother.
You're
not running the show, brother.
I just want
everybody chill out. Everybody chill out. Maximize my screen, William, real quick. Just real quick for a couple of seconds. My screen. You have to exit out yours. Exit out. There we go. Perfect. All right. Because we are streaming to 3 platforms, I am limited to what I can do, muting, kicking people out. These are 2 grown men. They're having conversations. They will reap the consequences of their actions. So if they cut each other off, if they do whatever, that's going to be between them and their fan base. I have nothing to do with this. I'm just keeping time. That's it. All right. Pull me back, William.
Yeah,
so that's it.
My fan base is fine. So when he starts speaking, I'm going to time these 60 seconds. You got 60 seconds. Do whatever
Absolutely. And then after that, You have 10 more minutes in your cross-examination, okay? All right, Tzaryah? All right, go ahead, William.
Hold on. And I will begin answering now. So this is what Tazaryach didn't want me to answer from Julius Africanus and Eusebius. Let me read it. One should also know that the source from Joseph's family descends is the same as that from which Mary does too. Man, it's context damaging. That's why he didn't want me to read it. You got to read the whole thing. He didn't read the whole thing. When you do read the whole thing, that's why he was terrified. Didn't want me to read it. Mary's included there. She's included. She's from the line of David. Thank you. Now, the other question, let me answer it in 30 seconds that I've got. In 30 seconds, how are we to suppose that Mother Mary knew every single thing that Christ needed to do along his journey? She didn't even understand the full prophecy in Luke 2 and Simeon's sword. There's a lot that Mary didn't know, a lot that was veiled from the Holy Family. Of course, God the Father is his only father. Christ, his stepfather, is Joseph, not his biological father. We've seen that throughout this whole debate. Just because they find him in the temple and he says he's about his father's way, I am unsure how that disproves the virgin birth in any way.
All right, well, thank you, William. So now I'm going to press start to Tzaryah. You can now continue.
So let me ask you a question, JP,
Mhm.
because this needs to be conducive to the audience. We can't go the rest of 10 minutes of him talking and then not allowing me to answer. I need questions to answer and not 60 seconds to combine two questions.
William, let's allow the man to ask.
Go ahead.
No problem. So I just want to highlight, he answered the old question. I asked him yes or no, did Mary lie? He never said yes or no. And then I asked him, why didn't they understand? I
don't answer yes or no questions, brother. You don't dictate how I answer.
Now, once again, this is why I point out to my audience. So now, question for you. What source do you have that says from Sextus Africanus that he said that Mary is the daughter of Heli?
Dr. Brock, who translated the whole text himself. Dr. Brock is the source that we have for that text that you read from itself. You've got multiple translations that come from the exact manuscript that Dr. Brock has translated. It is from Eusebius, preserving Julius Africanus. And Julius Africanus there is telling us Mary is of the house of David. So regardless of how you want to look at the lineage, Mary being of the house of David shows that Christ Ketasarka, according to the flesh, is from the house of David.
I want to show again, he does not have a source from Sextus Africanus that says that Mary.
That is Julius Africanus, brother.
That's him. You did not name Sextus Africanus. You named somebody that you say gave us Sextus Africanus.
That's Julius Africanus. He translated it, brother.
Interrupted. You answered the question.
Let's allow him to speak.
I'm responding to you. Every time I give you the space to speak, and now I'm responding to what you said.
I'm blown away by this. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
The back and forth that Sextus Africanus did was to establish that Joseph was the son by law, that the son, the Jacob and Matthew and Heli in Luke, they were brothers. Heli died without a child.
Yes.
So Jacob raised up seed for him. So if Jacob is raising up seed for him and Heli dies without it, how is Mary, unless you're trying to tell me that Jacob that the mother of Heli is Mary and Heli died without no sons, is that your position?
The mother of Heli is Mary? No.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. The mother of Heli is Mary's mother. Is that what you're saying?
No. Heli is the father of Mary, my friend.
So Heli's wife is Heli's wife Mary's mother?
Okay, JP, you give me a minute to answer. I need to be able to answer.
All right. Well,
I need to be able to answer this.
Tzaryah, you asked the question. Now, William, answer the question. Go ahead. Answer the question.
I don't have to give him a minute, though. But you can go to answer.
Let him answer.
You're going to have to let me answer. Okay. In the chronology of Julius Africanus, who is the same person that you're reading, who is your only source of a church father, he argues that Joseph stands in place because Heli died without any male children. Now, who is Heli? Heli is Joakim. Eliakim is Joakim, who is the father of Holy Mother Mary. in that same source that you brought up, that Eusebius preserved from Julius Africanus, he includes Mary in the lineage, meaning Julius Africanus is arguing that Christ comes from the flesh from Mary. The very source you brought out to the audience shows something completely different than your position on the virgin birth. He says Mary is of the house of David as well. I got to say, if you want to talk about a cut, that's a cut.
There is no source that Sextus says that I've read anyway. I'll say it like that.
I just read it, my friend.
You did not, because I'm looking at the Julius Africanus PDF right now.
You do not have the complete one then, buddy.
I do. It's over 200 and something pages. I have the
No, you do not. Because that portion,
I
I just read it.
I don't need to be interrupted.
Okay, let's allow
This is what I'm talking about. I don't need to be. I don't need
Tzaryah,
to be.
make your point and answer your question.
Make your point and ask your question.
Uninterrupted.
So Romans 1:3 says that concerning his son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh. That Greek word is sperm. How is Christ made the seed of David or the sperm of David without coming from a man's sperm?
Because it's impossible to argue that every single time spermatos is used, that it's used to refer to the sperm of a male. Spermatos is used hundreds of times. It means lineage many of the times it's used. Many of the times.
So
in Romans 1, I'm not done answering, my friend.
But that's it. I'm satisfied.
I don't care if you're satisfied. I'm not satisfied with my answer.
In
Romans 1,
chapter, listen, when he you did the same thing to me.
I got 10 seconds to answer, JP.
No, you
That's
don't.
fair?
No.
Listen, when I'm satisfied with your answer, I can move to the next. This is my interrogation. This is my questioning.
As long as I get to answer, I'm not going to be cut off after 10 seconds, JP.
You cut when you go back and watch this. You cut me off every time I.
You allowed it, brother. You allowed it,
and so I'm not allowing you.
Oh, I'm not going to allow you to cut me off.
There's a
big difference.
I just did.
And look, here we are arguing, right?
29.
Stop the time.
In Acts 2:30, God swore to David that the fruit of his loins, according to the flesh, he would raise up Christ. So back to Romans 1:3, when it says the seed of David, God's oath that he swore to David that it would be according to the flesh. So now we can get spirituality out the way. So if God swore to him according to the flesh, show me how Christ was born according to the flesh that God swore to him.
Wow. I don't know how many times I've got to exegete Luke chapter 3, which very clearly, as Luke 1 and Luke 2 are showing, that they're all about Mary, that overshadowing, that miraculous virgin birth. And then in Luke, it comes from Mary.
I didn't ask you about Mary.
JP, you got to moderate, JP. I'm not going to be cut off without giving my answer. Okay. I'm not going to be cut off, JP. This is outrageous. I need to answer.
I didn't ask you about Mary.
You need to allow me to answer this, JP.
All right. Hold on. Let me stop the time. Tzaryah, clarify your question.
He did, but he's not letting me answer.
I didn't ask him about Mary. Here's what I did. He said every time you see the word spermatos, not talk about flesh. So what I did was went to Acts 2:30, and God swore an oath that the fruit of his loins according to the flesh, the same thing that Romans 1:3 says. So now what I just established is that word spermatos in Romans 1:3 is talk about fleshly sperm.
Okay. Well,
what I'm asking him is, how does Christ be born according to this fleshly sperm that God swore to David? I'm asking him to prove it.
How long do I have, JP?
Just
JP
answer
don't dictate that.
Answer the question.
JP doesn't dictate that. You're not the moderator, buddy. He does dictate it. JP, if he interrupts me, I'm going to keep going. I better not get interrupted. I was answering that with Luke 3, JP.
Hold on, real quick. William, you're going to answer the question.
Okay.
If he says it's satisfactory, we got to move on.
Thank you. That's the rules.
I'm not going to get interrupted. Here's how it goes. I'm going to answer.
The moderator said if it's satisfactory to me, we move forward.
You're right,
but it's not going to be 10 seconds.
Okay.
It won't be. No. It definitely wouldn't. You can
in Luke,
if it takes 40 seconds, if it takes 60 seconds, that's fine.
In Luke chapter 3,
I'm going to go.
I could care less if you're satisfied with the answer.
Okay, so William, just answer the question. I'm going to start the time, okay?
In Luke chapter 3, as I was answering, Tazaryach didn't understand, the lineage of Christ to David, Mary is included. Her father, Heli, is there. Spermatos does not always mean literal sperm. How could it? So we're talking about the literal sperm of David? This is ridiculous. It's the lineage of David. Acts 2 is clearly referring to that lineage. The Greek word spermatos in the Old Testament, New Testament, very clearly is referring to that. Romans 1, Christ has to have
I appreciate the answer,
flesh,
your position. So you understand,
according to the flesh,
answer.
Mary.
You're saying Mary is from David, even though no biblical verse says Mary is from David.
I already gave you the biblical verse, buddy.
I don't need
gave
you
you
to
the
do
biblical
that. Now,
verse.
you said you wanted to be clear. I'll let you be clear.
Wow.
When
All
I
right,
talk,
what's
you
your
talking.
question?
Now, I just
JP, hold on, pause, JP, pause it, JP, pause it now. I'm not going to allow this guy to make snide remarks after. I'm not going to allow him to make snide remarks.
You did the same thing.
It's not going to happen.
Everybody's been making,
It's not going to happen.
Everybody's been making snarky remarks. Everybody,
right, thank you. You want like
everybody. So everybody just chill.
Do what you want, but don't want nobody to do nothing.
How long do we have, JP? How long do we have?
We have 3 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, you're a crybaby.
Let's make this, brother. You're terrified to allow me to respond.
No,
I've never seen somebody that is so terrified. I've never seen someone so terrified, brother. Go ahead.
Hey, wait, let me just say this. In the beginning,
go ahead, brother.
Before Williams' cross-examination,
wow,
I said, "Are we going to set a set time?" You said no. The reason why you do that is because it's 20 minutes for you to grill me at your leisure. However,
and I allowed you to answer, but go ahead. Ask me your question.
For me to grill you at my leisure.
3 minutes. Go ahead.
What you try to do is control my leisure.
Go ahead. 3 minutes.
And
Tzaryah. So Tazaryach, you actually got 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
Let's go.
So there we go. So Tazaryach, I'm gonna press start. You could ask your question, and we'll continue going.
In Hebrews 2:17, where it says, "Wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren." To be made like unto his brethren means born like. In all things it said. So my question to you is: did it say in some things? Or did it say in all things to be made like his brethren? That's my question.
It says in all things, as it's referring to the flesh and the blood in verse 14. It says he himself likewise shared in that same, that through death he might destroy him. It's talking about the flesh and blood that he partook of. It has nothing to do with his conception. It's about the flesh and the blood that he partook of. And verse 14 tells you, and by the way, all of the early fathers interpret it that way.
I'll take you up on verse 14. It says, "For then, as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same flesh and blood."
Yes.
So my question to you is he called Son of Man or is he called Son of Woman?
He's called Son of Man because that's a divine title. The Son of Man is about the incarnation, the dual nature of Christ.
The Son of Man in the Bible.
He's the only one with the title Son of Man. Others are called Son of Man.
I'm asking this. This is what I mean. You're not answering the question.
I'm answering it.
Okay, I'll rephrase. Yes or no? Is he the only one?
I don't do yes or no questions, brother. I don't.
You don't do yes or no questions,
No,
but he's a professional debater.
No, and professionals do not do yes or no questions.
No problem. You ain't got to do yes or no. According to the text, everybody is a son of man.
Incorrect. The only one given the title Son of Man is Christ.
Man. You can't interrupt me. You don't do yes or no. Like
the only one.
How are you?
The only one.
No.
Called the Son of Man is Christ. You're wrong.
How does he say he don't answer yes or no, and then I go to talk and he interrupt my talk?
All right. So look, Tazaryach, ask your question.
Don't tell me. Don't you listen? If I'm responding to him saying he don't make yes or no, and I waste my time responding to that,
this guy doesn't know how to debate, JP.
I don't need you to stop my time.
This guy can't debate, JP.
I need to point out the reason why he don't want to say that is because not only is Ezekiel called the Son of Man, the book of Psalms says, "Trust not in the sons of man." So Christ is not the only one in the Bible that's called the Son of Man, and that needs to be brought out.
JP, I get to answer now?
No, I didn't ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm asking you. I'm about to ask you a question.
Go ahead, JP.
But I didn't just ask you a question.
Let the guy ask a question. Go ahead.
So he gets to say that. He gets to rebut me.
I do.
And I don't get to answer.
Yes, I do, because it's my time.
That's fine. In my answer, I'm gonna rebut that.
No, you're
touch upon that.
In Romans 8, in Romans 8.
Real quick. Tazaryach, you can ask your question. In fairness, William can respond to whatever he wants to respond to.
Finally, thank you.
You know,
I'm gonna answer that now.
JP, I'm sensing an extreme biasness, and I'm gonna tell you why. When he did the exact same thing to me that I'm doing, he's giving commentary to my. He gave commentary to my answer.
No, sir. I'm gonna answer that now. The moderator has spoken. I'm gonna answer that.
Commentary to no answer that I gave,
and I formed it in a question, my friend.
Come on, wait a minute.
The moderator has spoken. I'm gonna answer that.
You see the
I'm gonna answer that. The moderator has spoken.
That's a lie.
let's get something straight here. There's nothing I did for either of you guys that I didn't do for both of you guys.
Thank you.
So if you guys
He's a liar. I'm
Okay.
calling you a liar. You
All right,
said
JP,
you didn't
can I
give
answer
no
that now?
commentary. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask my last question. I think I only got time for one more question.
The
right?
moderator
two
just spoke.
you have 2
I'm
minutes and
talking
your
to
1
JP.
minute recap. 2 minutes and
Okay.
your 1 minute recap.
No problem.
I'll
Romans-
answer that with that one then.
Roman,
We can allow Tazaryach to say what he got to say though before he asks.
I'll wait to my 1 minute that you gave him time. I'll wait to that. And let's see if he shuts his mouth then.
Okay.
Romans 8:3. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through sinful flesh, God sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, condemned sin in the flesh. How did Christ have sinful flesh?
He didn't have sinful flesh. It says that he was in the likeness of sinful flesh. It never says that he had sinful flesh. It's referring to the fact that he is a human nature. He came in the flesh. It's very clear he is the sinless lamb. He's in the likeness because he became human for our sake, took his flesh from his mother Mary in the virgin birth. That is why it says he came in the likeness of human flesh. And to answer your question, no, only Christ is identified as the Son of Man of Daniel 7. There's only one person identified that way. That's Jesus the Christ. No one else, not Ezekiel, not a regular human. Only Jesus Christ is identified as that divine Son of Man of Daniel 7. He came in the likeness of sinful flesh as a man because he took flesh upon himself. He doesn't say he was sinful. You're incorrect.
You and me, hanging from the willow tree, quietly drifting in the open breeze. Suddenly, the wind blows you away from me. Now I see we were never meant to be. If only we could travel back in time. Whoa.